Hi, this is Brian Massard with Reminisce Angus Beef, and I want to specifically talk to you about antibiotics in beef, and especially in our beef. As a rancher, I've heard the argument out there. You can hear it, you can look for it on YouTube everywhere, that if it's not organic, if it's not grass-fed, all cattle that go to a feedlot are just chock full of antibiotics. There's a podcast of Joe Rogan talking to some organic people that sell grass-fat beef, and he's saying, yeah, these big feedlots, they lock them up in these pens and they force feed them grain and they make them all sick and they inject them with antibiotics and then it gets into the food system. That's all bad. Well, that's all untrue. There's somebody that has no clue about what's going on in the industry, has never done any studying, and yet when you got however many followers he's got, there's a message that goes out to the world that's untrue. And so we test our beef. We feed in a feedlot that has 30,000 head of cattle in it. And I was concerned before we started selling beef, going, wow, are we part of that program? Are part of the problem? Are we selling, does our meat have antibiotics in it? And it doesn't. We test it. USDA inspectors can find antibiotic residue in the meat tissue. They can find it in the lymph nodes, and that's what they're there to do. It's for food safety. We go beyond that, and we send tissue samples, fat samples into labs, and we have it detected to find out if there is any residues in there, because we have to treat cattle when they get sick. We have to. That's that basic animal husbandry. We have to take care of our cattle, and it's very important. You have to respect your food, and that's where your food comes from. So you have to respect them and take the best care of them while they're alive. And part of that is when they get sick, you doctor them. You don't drive by them and say, well, it sucks to be you, that one's dying. We take care of these things. But for you, you can feel good about buying meat. If it has a USDA inspected stamp on it, that means an inspector's looked at it. There is no antibiotic residue in that. When you buy Reminisce Angus Beef, we go further. We test the meat even after they've looked at it to ensure to our customers you'll never have there's none of that residue in there. That's a false narrative. Somebody's selling you something. We're selling you something, but we're selling you the best beef in the world, and you're spending that money anyway. We're not going to scare you into buying Reminisce Angus Beef. We're going to tell you it's the best Angus beef in the world, the best beef in the world, because we've identified a flavor gene 30 years ago, and it is amazing. It is measurably different, and that's why professional chefs all across the West are buying our beef, serving it for 80 to 200 bucks a steak. You can buy it for $13.99 a pound. You can buy a whole beef from Reminisce Angus for $12.26 a pound. It's amazing. You don't have to be afraid to buy it. You can feel good about buying it. So that's our message on antibiotic-free beef. You can get it at remangusbeef.com. Bon appetit. Thank you for listening.